So new for 2026, I'm now advising buyers to never go direct to the listing agent. I used to just say, if you trust your listing agent, you didn't need an attorney. I was trying to explain this to a lawyer just recently, and he just was like, he didn't get it. So I need to bring out the paperwork to explain this very clearly. In the past, if you worked with the listing agent, it would have been a dual agency situation. That listing agent had a lot of important duties to you as a buyer that they no longer have. We're going to go to Google AI, and I'll show you what it wrote, and you'll see it's very important. But first, I want to explain why this is an issue. So in the past, dual agency, I believed in it. I had a whole business where for a flat fee, I would review contracts. I'd be I'd answer questions. I'd talk to my client about how to find the right inspectors, different things about like local area rules. But I was happy to let the listing agent do a lot of jobs for my buyers because they had real duties to them that they no longer have. And this is why. This clause is a clause that people are talking about on the internet, and what listing agents are saying is they're telling sellers and buyers that they need to get paid more because when they do work for a buyer, it's a lot of work, which is true. It's extra work. And at first I was thinking, well, maybe they'll do it for a small amount of money. But now I'm reading and hearing, talking to realtors, that listing agents are frequently asking for 2.5% and 2%. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. So imagine this. You're a buyer thinking that you're going to be able to get a better deal because the seller isn't going to have to pay your buyer agent commissions. And that's entirely getting erased by the listing agent getting money really for doing a lot less work. And I'm going to show you that, your listing agent, this is what Google AI said, because I didn't feel like doing all the work right now, but I will confirm that had I done it, I would have come up with these conclusions. The duties that a listing agent always has is that they always owe honesty and fair dealing, so they can't lie to you. Good faith, they're supposed to avoid trickery. Disclosure of material facts, well, that's not even, none of these things are really special. The listing agent owes the public too. They owe this to everybody in all circumstances. I mean, they're professionals. I'm not quite sure about it. I'll leave that one out. Now, secondly, this is the duties they used to provide. They're no longer supposed to do this. So if your listing agent's acting like they are representing you by doing these things, you've got a confused or maybe deceptive listing agent. They're not supposed to give you negotiating advice because they're the agent of the seller. That's it. They're not your agent. So they don't have a dual duty. They can't say, well, I would do this, or why don't you offer $1.2 million? I think they might go for that, given that we're all aware of what the fair market value of the home is. They're not supposed to be doing any of that. They're not supposed to fill out the forms for you. I mean, they do present. This one's a tough one. I mean, because wow, they're not supposed to prepare the forms. They're going to give you blank ones. You got to fill them out. Advice on inspections. This is crazy. This is why you can never work with a listing agent directly. Deadline management. Well, that may, actually, like if you want to keep your contingencies alive, this is super important. They're not supposed to be doing this for you. And this is the fiduciary cap, what they never owe the buyer, the utmost care and loyalty. Their loyalty is 100% to the seller. Confidentiality. If an unrepresented buyer mentions I can go up another $50K if I have to, the listing agent is legally obligated to run and tell the seller that information immediately. I cannot stress this enough. This is unbelievable that this is happening and buyers are being so confused. If you're buying properties direct from the listing agent now, and this is happening, you might have actions. And this is the Realtor Association needs to stop this. This is not possible. You cannot have buyers thinking that they're getting a deal or they're doing the smart thing by going in unrepresented, and the listing agent actually having a duty, almost it probably does. They have a duty to share the buyer's negotiation strategy with the seller. This cannot happen. This has to stop. My name is John McConnon. Obviously, you now realize that you probably need I mean, I'll tell you the scenarios that we have to go over together, and we're gonna put them all there. Actually, I've already been putting the videos in. If you go to listingattorney.com/homebuyer, you will see this video series and others. I put forms in there, and there's going to be a protection kit in there, and you can ask questions. There'll be a community. But so basically, you cannot go unrepresented to the listing agent. It's going to harm your chances in all likelihood. And you probably don't want to pay 25 or 30. You don't want to pay 2.5 or 3% to your buyer's agent ahead of time, because that's going to mess you up in many circumstances. If you're in a multiple offer situation, you're going to have to pay more, that $25,000 or $30,000 more to buy the home. And also, if you look at it economically, that money's coming out of your pocket anyway. And we have videos where I explain that, but I'll try to do it quickly. You're buying a home for $1 million. You're asking for a $30,000 buyer agent fee. If you went back to the seller and said, hey, I'll pay the buyer off out of escrow, it doesn't have to come from you, will you just lower your price to $970? 99.99% sellers will say yes, because it's no money out of their pocket. So the buyer agent fee is coming out of your pocket. You really need to keep your flexibility open. I've talked about the very best strategy in 2026 in other videos. I'm going to elaborate it on it more. All at listingattorney.com. If all this is too complicated for you, just go ahead, listingattorney.com, talk to us, and we'll give you the path, the clarity, and how you want to work absolutely free. And then you can decide if you want to work with us or somebody else. You can talk with Phil. Well, Phil is very good about picking up the phone if he's not working with another buyer right now. And if not, I'll pick him up. I'll pick it up too if I'm not working. If I have the availability to take the call, I will. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.